everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Muswell Hill podcast and YouTube series, our hidden treasures. Today we've got a special treasure, which is our minister, Matt Lunn. Matt is here to talk to us about some of his recent experiences with mental health, as we are looking at Mental Health Week at the moment. So, Matt, let's get started.
Hmm.
How, what made you decide to take an action on your mental health? Was there something that sort of prompted that, or is it something you just wanted to do more generally?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I was in a good place, to be honest, Alex, this time last year. So much gets put onto clergy. I mean, we do things and we love it. We love what we do. I think sometimes we put ourselves on that high pedestal as ministers, where we put ourselves up on there because sometimes that lead our members expect us to be on that top really. And last year it was just one thing after another, and experiencing losses. It was really difficult. Losing refugees, saying goodbye to them, deaths that I've got to know people really well. And it's just been one thing after another. And then obviously the pandemic, which I think's affected a lot of people. And my ordination was meant to be 2020. Um, if we was ordained, if we was ordained at a gate, we could have called it ordination gate. But it wasn't. And when you're training for ministry, it's such an important time is for your ordination, which should have been 2020. And it was delayed 2021. But hey, ministers, we just get on, we do it, we plod on, and it was really hurtful. It was just one thing after another, and then a year after that, my granddad passed away, and again we plod on, and it was still way social distancing. We had to sit separately from people, and it just kept going and going and going. But hey, as ministers, we just plod on, we get on, we do things. And then last year I just got into a very bad place where I felt really insecure about things. Delayed ordination with my granddad, and then in training, ministerial training, about 9 years ago, my uncle suddenly passed away of a stroke, and then Helen's grandma passed away in my second year of training, and then in my third year of training, it was time to go into ministry, and I was a vice chair of governors. I got on really well with the head teacher, and he took his own life, and there was just no warning behind it. And I think um, just keep going on and keep doing it, keep plodding them along. And I would say, all those things that have happened in the past caught up with me, and I was just in a very bad place. And um, I remember it was Maundy Thursday last year. We was in the room where we turn the lights out and we go into the garden, when we leave in silence, and my watch goes, and I look at my watch, and it's somebody that says to me she's gone. And I'll never forget that. It was a couple that I married at Muswell Hill. I married them because she was dying of cancer.
Right.
And then on that Maundy Thursday last year, she passed away, and it was just one thing after another. I got anxious about certain stuff. My anxiety. I felt like I was losing the people around me that I loved. I was doubting myself. Am I any good at what I do? Um, and the thing is, Alex, people were saying to me, oh, Helen, bless her, who got the end of, she said, but when you're at church, you always look jolly, and when you're at home, you kind of you switch off. You're very quiet. And I said, because when I'm at home, it's my safe place, and it's the
Mm.
way I can be me, and I can take my mask off. And that's when there were lots of things happening. I took one thing really bad last year, and that was not going to Methodist conference, which, you know, on a normal day, I would have said, okay, I didn't get voted on, but I took it really bad. And for
Yeah.
some that will think, oh well, you know, it's only conference, I took it really bad, really, really bad. And
So
this
is
year,
that
I'm,
something
yeah,
nominated? Is that something you have to be nominated for?
yeah, you've got to be nominated through district, and you know, it just felt so hurt by it. There was three people that applied and only two vacancies, but I was
Um,
on standby. So if any presbyter pulled out, I was going. And it could have happened right up to the week before. So of course I'll be like, oh, January, yeah, someone still may pull out, someone still may pull out. February, and then March, April, May, and oh dear, it's June. And I kept looking over my shoulder, and I wasn't in a good place about that. And this year I'm still going to conference on my own expense, but not as a rep. And I'm fine about it. It's completely in a different place, but
yeah.
my brain wasn't processing stuff as well as it should be, and I I really I took the decision after a conversation with Helen. I mean, she, you know, our wives, our loved ones can really give us some advice, and she said, look, you know, you need to really sort yourself out, and and I ran the doctors. I explained what had happened, and I was diagnosed with depression, um, with some anti, um, you know, antidepressants, and still working, and you know, I can lead a normal life, um, and realize that I needed to do something. And the scary thing about mental health is if I wouldn't have put my hand up to say, actually, I need that help, I don't know where I would be this
Yeah.
year.
I mean, I think it's
Um,
hard enough for most people to find the time to make their mental health a priority. But it
mm,
really sounds like, for you for the past couple of years, it was just one thing after another. How are you ever going to find the time? So it's really amazing that
mm,
you listen, make that a priority and take action on that. Yeah.
yeah.
Um, you mentioned that a lot of the problems that you were talking about that you were having were related to your role as a minister. A lot of people look up to you as a leader in that role. Did your role as a minister make it any harder to sort of stand up and get the help you needed?
Um, I thought about it. I prayed about it, and then I wrote a blog last year, and I shared it to my members on WhatsApp, and people read it, and they were really touched by it. And I think, you know, my churches were wonderful. They were supportive about it. They knew that I needed to. They were just so, every one of them. You know, I was nervous that I did it. I was worried about what people would say, but I wanted it to be, I shared it with people because I wanted it to be my story. You know, when we're looking at the theme hidden treasures, I wanted people to know that it's Matt Lunn's story, and, you know, not a project, um, not what can we do for Matt. You know, maybe you want to say to people, just back off a bit. That could be a big support. But yeah, I think people were just brilliant. People wanted to pray for me. People were asking, and I think with leadership, certainly leadership within the church, as I said, there's this stigma about our leaders, and I think it's about leading by example. And if I can get up and say, look, I struggle, um, I struggle with my mental health. The number of people, either by email or telephone call, or conversations, that have said to me too. And I
Mm.
think that's a way of leading that, you know, that leading by example, to get rid of that stigma of mental health, and just saying, look, it's okay to be not okay. You know, we've had a global pandemic. We've had a cost of living crisis. I think if we can as people can be honest about themselves, and as a leader for me, and can say, well, look, I'm struggling with this, and people haven't treated me any different. The thing is, I'm a very sensitive person, and there are a lot of things that get said to me as a minister, that is a passing comment. Um, sometimes it can be about, oh, you've put a bit of weight on, or it could be you didn't preach much, or you didn't, do this, or you didn't do that, and I think that's the thing, really, of actually people don't realise what a passing comment can
Yeah.
actually do.
It
Um,
chips away.
yeah, yeah, and you could have like six great things that you've done really well, but one thing that really heats at you, and it's that one thing that really gets to you. Um, so overall, I think, yeah, the church were absolutely brilliant. They didn't treat me any different. There was no church members that tried praying it out of me. That anyone who did that, well, they did have done that to me, because I would have put them straight. But yeah, overall, it was a great decision. I've got Helen to thank, really, because she said, "Look, Matt, you've got to tell people. You've got to tell people, because not only will it heat you away that you can't tell people, but also it's got to be your story." And it's like people in ministry who, maybe where they come out as gay, and they need to, once they've done it, it's their story, they've done it, and sometimes there's this fear of, when you do come out with something quite big like that on either sexuality, or in my case, mental health. It was really important that people, got to hear it, lead by example, and from that, some stuff can happen, I think, where I'm exploring my ministry. Is it circuit ministry, or is it new places for new people, where let's have a place where people can come and be themselves, and not be a place where you've got to be what what you should, what we think people should be, but actually come and let's have therapy church.
Yeah, that's a really fantastic idea. Yeah. You mentioned a minute ago about that concept of trying to pray the depression out of people, or
Mm,
pray to wellness into people. Um, but I think God does play an important role in how we treat ourselves and how we manage our sort of our wellness.
mm.
Would you say that your faith has been a strength for you through this time?
Yeah, one of my things that I always said when it was this time last year, and when I was in that dark place, was, um, the words of Jesus that kept so echoey loud. I can hear it still now. Was the fact, my God, why have you forsaken me?" And I heard those words, the Son of God say those words, my God, why have you forsaken me?" If Jesus can say those words, then anybody can.
Mm,
And I think that, you know, there's lots of things in that passage, and certainly last days of Jesus's ministry, when Jesus says, "Take this cup of suffering away from me, not my will,
mm,
um, but yours." Jesus basically saying, "I don't really want to do this, but I've got to." Um, and I feel that, if Jesus can have that, and that human things, that those questions, those doubts, then any of us can. And like the footprints in the sand, where there is, where you feel like there's only one set of footprints, it's there that we're being carried.
mm,
And scripture, it helped me to see things in different lens, where reading scripture with mental health, where actually there were people that suffered, with their mental with their mental health. We see it throughout, where people are doubting, where they're struggling, and there's lots of things like that that happens. So yeah, it's, you begin to see things differently in scripture. regards to of mental health. And I think the key thing what Jesus does as well is when he does make somebody better, he says, don't tell anybody, keep it to yourself, because maybe that's between, the Jesus, God, and the person that's done it. So my message to this is of Mental Health Awareness Week is don't pray it out of us.
Mm,
We don't need it praying out of us. We just need prayer with
yeah.
and for and working alongside people. We don't need things that are we don't want people to be actually holding on to their feelings to themselves. We want people to be honest.
Mm,
And, that's when we begin to see scripture different. It's a book, is the Bible, about people who are in vulnerable situations, who are people who are desperate for the meaning of life. And actually, there are people outside this church that, frankly, people are feeling really crap about
mm,
life, of what's happening to them. And what we've got to do as a church is we've got to say that it's okay not to be okay. It's okay if you're feeling rubbish, because sometimes as churches we put labels on people, and we image people that say this is what we're like
mm,
your Sunday best, and do this. And actually, if it's a relationship, if scripture's messy, if people are doubting, then we've got a really important role to the people in the communities, and to the people that say, actually, yeah, life is crap, life is messy, I'm struggling with that too. I don't know why things are happening what they're happening at the moment. Um, and it's a bit like saying, if people say out the community, well, if you knew me and what I had done, you wouldn't want me. And we need to be the ones that says, well, if you knew what we did, you wouldn't be worried. And I think that's what we really need to be saying to people.
mm,
Stop being holy in thou, and be Christ-like, and walk alongside the people who Jesus would rather walk in alongside the people. I think sometimes we've got too many Pharisees in our churches.
that's right. I think that's really, really good advice for the people that want to help others that they know are struggling, others they see in their church or in the communities, maybe friends or family members, and they want to help them and reach out to them, but they're not
Mm.
really sure how. But what about the people who are struggling? What advice would you give them as
I
someone
would
that's been?
always, yeah, I would always say to people that, first of all, as I said before, it's okay not to be okay. Please, speak up. This is why I'm doing this interview. Really, is that I want to be able to reach out to as many people who will be listening on YouTube or on our podcasts, that can see somebody as clergy that has struggled with mental health, and that it's okay. And that's why I've done this interview. I want people to know that you're not alone. If you feel like you're alone, you're not. And let's really speak up. If you feel like you're alone, then please, contact the church, contact somebody, talk to somebody. If you're really feeling down and out, ring the Samaritans, talk to people, be there for people. And let's say to people that our kettles are always on, our doors are always open, and let's have a brew. Let's walk alongside these people, and all people together, where actually the bravest thing that you can ever do is speak out. You know, what people say, if it's cowardly, it's not cowardly. It's a brave thing. You're more braver than anybody else where if you need to speak out. And there's lots of help out there. For me as a minister, I just want to say thank you also to the Methodist Church, who have been brilliant, really good, because they've allowed me to have counselling. I've finished my counselling, and being able to talk to somebody one to one has been a really blessing for me. Where I would go to counselling and think, what am I going to do for 45 minutes? Um, and and I'd get there, and the 45 minutes would go like that, because it was me just pouring out my heart and somebody listening to me. And then the other thing I'd say is speak to your doctors. You know, doctors get so much pressure on them, but I have to say, because it was mental health, my doctor was absolutely brilliant. When I cried on the phone in the reception, and the first point of contact said to me, "It's okay, don't worry, you'll be fine. I know, I've been there." And
Mm.
hearing those words when people say "I've been there" can make a huge difference. And the doctor ran me up straight away, and so I think sometimes we've got to give a less slack to our doctors. They do a great job, and the minute that, you know, if it wasn't for the doctors giving me the support that was needed, then, you know, this could have been a complete different situation, and being here for that. So yeah, please speak up, reach out to people. People are kind. There's only a little small people that actually are not kind, but the majority of people are kind and they do care. And you know, please speak up. People do care, and the best thing that you can ever do is reach out.
Well, Matt, you are a blessing in our community. We're blessed to have you. Thank
Oh,
you so
thank
much
you,
for joining us today and sharing these experiences with us. I'm
thank
sure
you.
what you've spoken about is going to help and touch a
Yeah,
lot of people. Sure.
thanks, Alex. And I just wondered if I could finish with there's going to be a song that I've just seen, and the lyrics are on Google, and they're absolutely brilliant. Helen came across this in a service, and it's by Lucy Spragnan. "Stick the Kettle On." I don't know if you've heard of that.
No.
And the lyrics are, "And if you know who you're not alone, I hope you know you're not alone. That some days we get it wrong, stick the kettle on. I know some days are hard, but I know how strong you are. The front door's open. If you're broken, let's talk the night away. Sometimes we get it wrong, stick the kettle on. I spend my nights alone. I keep these doors closed. And if I don't help me when they tell me I should just man up. Some days we get it wrong, stick the kettle on. And if you're low, you're not alone. I hope you know sometimes we get it wrong, stick the kettle on. And if you find it hard to sleep, I lost my self belief. I didn't mean to, but I seem to. I've ended up so lost. Sometimes we get it wrong, stick the kettle on. And if you're low, you're not alone. I hope you know sometimes we get it wrong, stick the kettle on.
Great. That's just beautiful.
Yeah,
Amazing.
and it's just wonderful words. And you know, worst thing we can say to people is man up. But the best
Mm.
thing we can say is our door's always open, and stick the kettle on. And by doing that, I've really wanted to doing this interview to reach out, certainly for Mental Health Awareness Week.
Fantastic. So yeah, I mean, thank you again for sharing these experiences with us. If anyone watching or listening wants to learn more, they can contact us on our social media or find us on our website. We're always uploading more of our sermons and interviews like this. So, you know, there's always going to be something for you to find with us. So until we see you next time, God bless you.